I'm Laura Birch with Birch Realty Team, and today you get to eavesdrop on a conversation that I'm going to have with Doug Crocker of Genesis Mortgage. Doug, tell me now what's going on in the loan industry.
Well, there's a lot of good news in the mortgage industry right now. Two areas that I would address. First of all is affordability. Home prices are near the all-time lows, and interest rates are also near the all-time lows. So this is kind of a unique opportunity for a lot of people to save a lot of money and get into a house when maybe a year from now they wouldn't be able to afford that same house.
That's good news.
I would say the second thing is the accessibility for homeowners right now is critical. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there that it's difficult to get a loan, it's difficult to get into a home, and that's really not the case. There's a lot of looseness in the guidelines where you can have things like a collection, for example, and they'll overlook that. And there's even bankruptcy. If you're 2 years out of bankruptcy, we can get you into a house. So I think that's important that people not disqualify themselves, but rather that they give a loan officer like myself a call and let me talk to you and figure out how we can get you into a home.
Okay, good, good. Now, accessibility then. What about credit scores? What should those look like?
Well, credit scores have gone up, so a lot of people are aware of that. The minimum requirements on credit scores have gone up. But really it's more into common sense underwriting, where people used to, at one point, at the worst time, have a credit score in the 400s and be able to get into a house.
Wow.
That's probably not a good idea. So somebody that's never paid a bill on time and doesn't have a lot of money would actually be able to buy a house. So that's no longer the case. But the good news is people that do try to pay their bills on time and do a fairly good job of it, they can get in a house right now.
Excellent.
So your minimum credit score on an FHA loan, which is probably your best loan for the first-time home buyer. Minimum credit score is 640.
Okay.
And that would be a score where 70% of the people in the United States would have a credit score of 640 or higher. So it's pretty accessible.
That's a big group of people then. Okay, okay, good. What about credit counseling? For those people who maybe just are under that limit, what options do they have?
Good question. They've got a lot of options. There are some good credit counseling firms out there that will treat the customers with respect and not just take their money. There's a lot of horror stories. Right.
Yeah.
They're scam artists, so they want to use somebody that has been referred. I've worked with several that have done a good job.
Good.
And there's a couple of things. Sometimes it can take a year in order to get the scores up. I'm closing on someone this month. It's taking them a year to get their scores up. Other times it can happen as quick as 2 weeks to get a score up.
That's fast. Okay.
So the key is to talk to me and let me kind of see if there's an easy solution, and if not, refer you to someone that can give you more in-depth solution.
Okay, okay. What about the types of loans? And also, how can a buyer, most importantly, because this is the whole point of this interview, is how can a buyer save some money on loans, on getting a loan?
Well, so the types of loans, I mean, most first-time homebuyers, I think I already mentioned, go in with an FHA loan because you can get in with 3.5% down, and that's the cheapest way to get into a home, and there's no hits as far as pricing if your credit score is low or anything like that.
Okay, let me go back for just a second. You said 3.5%. 3.5% of
3.5% of the sales price.
Okay.
So on a $100,000 house, you would need $3,500.
Okay.
And that's your down payment. And on FHA, another nice thing, that can come from a gift.
Ooh, okay.
Or at times, there can be a grant or something like that available.
Okay.
So they don't actually have to have that saved, but typically they will have that saved. But then we can figure out ways to where they wouldn't have to pay closing costs or prepaids or all those other expenses that you normally expect to pay. We can figure out ways to get that done for them.
Now, do you have any interesting, maybe a case study of a buyer who was able to close and had just an absolute fabulous experience and maybe even walked away with a little bit of money in their pocket?
Yeah, definitely. Just last month we did a VA loan, and VA doesn't require any down payment. So they put down their $1,000 earnest money with their offer that basically tells the seller that they're earnest about buying that house and that they're serious about it. So they need to have that $1,000 check. But actually at closing, they got that full $1,000 back. So they literally got into the house with nothing down, didn't have to pay one penny.
Wow, that is exciting. So that's a VA loan, and that's for veterans, is that right?
That's for veterans, right.
Yes, okay, okay. Well, Doug, this has been very interesting, and I appreciate your time. If you have questions about loan process, you're welcome to contact Doug. His contact information is on the screen. Again, my name is Laura Birch with Birch Realty Team, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.